is Dr. Martin's supplemental lecture on Chapter 24, Section 4, which is on the insects. So we're going to first talk a little bit about their life cycle. So this is within the phylum Arthropoda. Subphylum is actually Hexapoda, and the insects are a class within the arthropods. We're not going to actually talk about all of the different groups of arthropods. We've talked about a few. This will be the last within the group. One of the things that you're probably already aware of with regard to the life cycle of insects is that many insects undergo a process during their development that's called metamorphosis. And literally this means a change in body form. And typically it's a change between the immature form of the insect and the sexually mature form. Those two look very different. They have different behaviors, different feeding preferences, and so on. There are two types of metamorphosis that we're going to talk about. One is what's called complete metamorphosis. And this is going to be exemplified by the butterfly. The second category is what is called incomplete metamorphosis. And we're going to let the grasshopper be an example of that type of life cycle. All right, so let's take a look at complete metamorphosis. And you've probably already heard about this, maybe seen examples, especially within the butterfly life cycle of complete metamorphosis. So let's take that up first. Okay, complete metamorphosis involves a number of stages. We will start with what is often called the fertilized egg, which is really truly called the zygote. So it's a diploid organism, single cell initially, that's formed by the union of egg and sperm. Now, that fertilized egg will hatch or develop into a form that we call the larva. And in some insects, there will actually be several larval forms. They just simply get bigger and bigger. But since we're looking at the butterfly, this would be exemplified by what we know as a caterpillar. And so it initiates, initially is very, very small, and its job in the life cycle is to consume lots of food. So typically the fertilized egg is laid by the adult on the undersurface of a leaf. The monarchs, for example, will lay their eggs on butterfly weed, as well as parsley, certain herbaceous plants. And that egg will hatch, and the small larva will grow bigger and bigger and bigger and consume lots and lots of food material. The larva, at some point, once it reaches a certain size, will cease to feed, and it will go into an inactive phase that's called the pupa. And if we're looking at the butterfly-like life cycle, this would be what we call the chrysalid. So this is the, like I said, it would be located probably on a branch, and it'll maybe hang by what looks like a little stem or twig, and it will be just a little pupa that's going to sit there for a time. And internally a lot is going on. Eventually, at some point, the adult will emerge and complete the life cycle. So in this case, we've got 4 stages within the life cycle. We have the fertilized egg, the larva, the pupa, and the adult. And one of the advantages of this type of life cycle is that the larva and the adult actually can take advantage of completely different habitats and food sources. The larva will feed on certain plant material, leaves and so on. The adult, on the other hand, will probably feed from nectar within flowers. So they're not competing for a food source. Okay, the second type of metamorphosis is called incomplete metamorphosis. This may be a form that you're not familiar with. And in this phase, or in this type of life cycle, which we're going to let the grasshopper be our example, we're going to start again with the fertilized egg. And that egg will develop into what is called a nymph. And the nymph will actually look like a miniature adult. So we're going to put that down. Miniature adult. The nymph phase actually might go through several different types of nymphs. I don't mean different types, but different sizes. So sometimes we'll actually refer to these different nymph stages as N1, N2, N3, maybe even N4. So again, N equal nymph. And what happens between each stage is a process that we call molting. Remember that the arthropods have an outer exoskeleton that does not grow. And so this is what has to happen is that in order for the organism to become larger, it has to shed or molt the exoskeleton. And so we actually will see several nymph stages until we finally reach the adult. And of course, that completes the cycle. Okay, that's everything I wanted to say about metamorphosis. We're also going to talk about the body structure of the insects and some other aspects.